Welcome to Left Coast Live. It is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, aka the Offensive Progressive, aka America's Wasp, joined as always by Stat Pat, Stateless Patriot of the Central Valley. We are California lefties coming to you about national politics, and I think we're going to touch a little bit on state politics tonight as well. But Stat Pat, the hell reigneth continued to down. Like it's just unbelievable. It's just like it shows you about what we were talking about. If they do get elected, like what can maybe be the saving grace is the incompetence with this texting scandal that came out this morning,
Oh my
which I
God.
thought was hysterical. It came out in real time as I was watching the morning news,
Yeah.
and they're just idiots. Like they're just absolute idiots. Pete
No, yeah.
Hegseth is an incompetent idiot, and
Doesn't
if
belong
you're
there.
if you're surprised by this, then you shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah,
Not a whole lot.
without a doubt. Like this is I mean, if you're not calling for resignations, if that's not like the top if that's not at the tip of everybody's tongue looking at this,
No, that's not going to
you're
happen.
no, of course not. Of fucking course not. You think any of these fuckers have any integrity at all? Have any humility? Absolutely not. It's
No.
embarrassing is an understatement. Like when Hillary Clinton has to come out like out of her fucking hole and tweet out, "You've got to be kidding me." Reaction to this whole thing, unsecured server, unsecured fucking app using to communicate back and forth, what's potentially classified information. It it's a joke and a half. Yeah,
It
and
was
yeah, Megan says the interviews are not looking good. Yeah, without a doubt.
well. What's funny is the Signal app is supposed to be like encrypted, and it's actually what a lot of
Supposedly,
lefties use to communicate because it's based
really
in like Scandinavia or something like that. Yeah,
interesting.
that's who owns it. So it was interesting to see that it was the Signal app that this happened in. But the only reason it could have been in any app because it would just happen to include that one guy from whoever whatever the news source was that found it.
Jeffrey
Um,
Goldberg.
yeah, Jeffrey Goldberg, right?
Hmm.
Idiots.
Yeah, no, like what?
How'd
Like
you not notice? How'd you, no one notice that they added this fucking journalist to
no,
the
it's like
thread?
some people are saying, this was being done on purpose because they wanted this info out there. And it's just like, no, it's just incompetence. Like, never mistake malice with what could be explained away as incompetence.
Yeah,
It's just outright stupid because at first they were like, "Oh no, this didn't happen. This isn't." They tried to discredit and um dismiss the Atlantic guy at first, and then they realized just how actually like real it is. It's just like, oh shit, yeah, we did it, but we didn't say anything classified. We like there wasn't anything being uh revealed that violated national security. It's just like the act itself, the like what
hmm
like being on Signal, interacting with each other. What was exposed via the text so far is still like an aberration of your duties, of your position. Megan says government pages have promoted Signal, and even the FBI has promoted using it for tips. Well, if it's as good as they say it is, I mean, Megan also says, don't, don't think it's malicious. Would like to see screen caps of the timings of strikes and whether or not they're accurate. Signal is approved for use from what I know, not for classified stuff. Yeah, that's the big question mark. From what I've seen, and we can actually watch through a couple clips if we need to, but from what I've seen, Jeffrey Goldberg is still in communication with his lawyers about what can or can't be revealed based on what he gathered being a part of that group text
Can you
chat.
imagine just sitting there watching those texts come in?
Right.
And it's like Whoa, they have no idea that I'm on this and
Yeah.
that I can totally expose them to the public
No
if I wanted
kidding.
to.
The memes have been
Um,
glorious. Megan's been sending me countless of them, and they're actually pretty funny.
nice.
Hmm.
That's great. So, yeah, I think a lot's been said on that already.
Sure.
But it's just classic. Like, I don't think there's anything complicated going on here. It's just you appoint stupid people to positions that require smart people.
Yeah.
You're gonna get stupid results. It's not a terribly complex thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I was actually watching the hearings about it while at the gym this morning. They had Tulsi Gabbard up there answering questions and
right.
whatnot. And she went to her whole spiel about Iran's really bad. Iran is really, really, really bad. And we need to be a strong America because terrorism in the region. And also China. We need to remember China. China's really bad. We got to do all this and
Yeah, she
that.
just does the red herring strategy of
Of
distracting,
course,
and
of
yeah,
course. That's yeah. But eventually, she did get into like direct questioning and like wouldn't answer directly if she was actually like part of the group chat, even though her initials were in the group chat. So she's just dodging questions and deferring to the Department of Defense to
yeah, of course.
Pete Hegseth and whatnot. It's just like what a mess, and it's like she, as much as I can't stand her, and what an obvious like fraud and flake she is, she does seem like someone that understands the importance of national security and like the um structure of intelligence and protecting state secrets. What like the hypocrisy is
Yeah,
amok right now. The compilations of everybody who was involved, Michael Waltz, Pete Hegseth, and whatever, all saying the same exact thing about that everybody was saying about Hillary Clinton and
yeah, the emails.
the emails and the protected server and this and that, and now like all this has come to fruition. Everybody looks like jackasses, and not to mention Tulsi Gabbard recently actually tweeted, I think, a week or so ago, basically saying anybody who jeopardizes national security or something rather should face full
Right.
punishment, like full
Yeah.
accountability. And it's like, I wonder how this is going to play out because
They're
it's
total
like,
hypocrites. They're total
right,
hypocrites. They don't give a shit. They're in
yeah,
power, so they don't care.
of course,
That's the
yeah,
problem with power is that once you have it, your primary concern is holding on to it, not using it. That's a
right.
big problem with power.
Yeah, yeah. Signal notifies the group if you screen cap I thought, which is the weirdest part of this all. Well, I guess I don't know anything really about Signal, but if it, that's always something that's made me curious. Like, if you're using Signal via like a web browser or whatnot, can your web browser pick up like on Control Alt print screen? Like just taking a whole screen cap of your browser and then pasting it in like Paint or something like that. I wonder if because like obviously there are social media apps, apps in general, like streaming services that detect when you take screenshots via your phone. I'm just wondering like how deep is the technology to where like could it pick up on Control Alt print screen. um Megan also says the hearings were already planned, just not about this incident. So yeah, that's why she was talking about other shit. A lot of people questioning the timing of the article with the hearings. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the guy from Atlantic is stupid. I mean, the fact that he's consulting with lawyers about like what to reveal or not, because I forget who it was at the hearings, but who said it when he was grilling the people involved with the group text chat, whatever, including Tulsi Gabbard. Like, okay, well, if there's no classified information here, let's see the texts. Show them to us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we can stay on that if you want, but I don't really think there's a whole lot to be said. I'm more interested in this Humanist Report video that I
Oh
saw
yeah.
a little bit of, and I wanted to watch the rest of it today, but it's on our favorite subject, the fecklessness of the DNC. Do you have any
Oh
interest in
yeah.
seeing that?
Which one was it? Depends.
It's the one that came out today.
Let's see. Did I watch that one?
Here it is, right
No,
here. Let's just
I did not. Let's
let's
watch it.
all right, let's watch it.
Yeah,
Because
let's do it.
Mike's one of Mike Figueredo. If you don't already follow him, check him out. He's one of our favorites. Very big ally in the biz. So here's what he has to say about,
Donald Trump and Elon Musk are dismantling our country piece by piece. And so many Democrats seem content to just sit back and let them. So I say it's time to drop the excuses and grow a f***ing spine. I'm Kat Abou-Ghazaleh, and I'm running for Congress in Illinois' 9th District. Unfortunately, this party has become one where you have to look to the exceptions for real leadership, as the majority work from an outdated playbook. We need a makeover, which means we need a vision that's bigger than what we've been told is possible. There is absolutely no reason you shouldn't be able to afford housing, groceries, and healthcare with some money left over. Families should have free childcare, Social Security should be expanded, and our inalienable rights shouldn't be dependent on who's in power. That means standing up to authoritarians, not shrinking away when the fight gets tough. And while current Democratic leadership might be fine cowering to Trump, I'm not.
Speaking my language.
And that, my friends, is what the future of the Democratic Party looks like.
Should
Someone
look
who
like.
is not
Hopefully looks
afraid
like.
to stand up to Republicans or Democrats who collaborate with fascists.
What are you talking
And
about?
I think you've all known for a while now that I've been very ambivalent towards this idea of taking over the Democratic Party because, quite frankly, we tried that before and we failed miserably. You know, I've probably brought on more than 100 progressive congressional candidates over the last 10 years, and just a small handful of them won their primaries, and just a couple actually made it through to Congress. But this time, I'll admit things do feel different. I don't know if that's just naive optimism or whatnot, but it does seem like now is the time where we kind of have to act. And I think that we'd be foolish to not give it another go, especially considering how the Democratic Party's approval rating is at a record low, and just 6% of the Democratic Party's base thinks that Hakeem Jeffries reflects the party's core values, and just 2% thinks that Chuck Schumer reflects the party's core values, which is still too high in my opinion. But you know, in an article for Politico, Lakeisha Jane explains that the data clearly indicates that the Democratic Party is starting to see the emergence of its own Tea Party-like movement, which should scare incumbents. And even though the base supports progressive policies, if you ask them, it seems like most of the anger stems from the party's refusal to fight. So as disillusioned as I am at the prospect of trying to reform a party that has been unreformable for almost a decade now, I do think that we have an opportunity to maybe seize the moment, harness all of that rage, and potentially try to remake the Democratic Party in our progressive image. And candidates like Kat Abou-Ghazaleh are the only ones that are going to be able to pull the party out of the hole that they dug for themselves, not corrupt, pro-corporate pick-me's like Gavin Newsom, who's chumming it up with fascists ahead of his inevitable 2028 run. Now, I can tell you firsthand that Kat is not the only candidate who is running for office. I know somebody personally who is about to announce their candidacy very soon, and they are not fucking around. They're basically my anger interpreter, who's an expert at shitting on spineless Democrats and Republicans. So stay tuned for that. I'll be bringing them on the program soon. But with that being said, we are going to hear more from Kat because she's going to explain in this next clip from her launch ad why she's different than other Democrats.
I've spent my entire career reporting on the far right and being attacked by them as a result. In fact, just a few months ago, Elon Musk's lawyers deposed me here in Chicago to ask about my mean tweets. Look, I thought comedy was legal again. This is all to say, I'm not scared of standing up to these people. I know how they think, and I know how to beat them.
Oh, wow. Sounds like what you're saying, Dieter.
I don't want to wait a year to help people. We're focused on meeting constituent needs with one simple rule. What if we didn't suck? My campaign and I would rather spend our money on book drives and clothing exchanges and public events than fancy fundraisers for rich donors. I also want my campaign to be as transparent as possible. That's why I'll be posting regular videos about the costs and steps of running for office. We all deserve better. We deserve human rights and financial freedom and a party that stands up to authoritarians. We deserve to thrive, not just survive. And I plan to fight for those ideals both on the campaign trail and in Congress. If you want to know more about me and what I believe, you can go to catforillinois.com. I do need to mention that campaigns cost money and ask you to contribute what you can. But I promise
Okay.
your donation will not be wasted on old, ineffective tactics. No spammy guilt trip texts, no focus groups to test my views, and no grifty consultants who care more about their paycheck than actually winning. It's time to
Bingo.
challenge the status quo, and if our leaders won't do it, we will.
And that right there is like music to my ears because Democrats have often used those idiotic
Please.
and annoying text messages to fundraise off of Republican destruction while not offering their own alternative vision.
It's like-
And I'm sorry, but I don't believe that my $5 that I could chip in right away is going to make you fight more than you already haven't been fighting. Like my
No,
representative,
right.
Suzanne Bonamici, she's been invisible for the long time that she's been in Congress, hasn't done shit, but yet she has the nerve to send me these emails saying, hey, if you could support me by sending in $10, I'll fight. Where have you been this whole time?
No,
Why haven't you been
exactly.
fighting? Do I really?
And that's the thing.
Do you
too.
really think I'm stupid enough?
Like there's an outlet called the Hard Times. They're a lot like the Onion, and they put out a meme of Chuck Schumer, and the headline is Democrats will continue relentlessly doing nothing if you just pitch in $5.
Yep.
If that just doesn't fucking summarize the whole thing, it's just like, God damn.
Stupid enough to believe that another $10 is going to make you fight suddenly, it's just insufferable. Furthermore, when it comes to consultants, I don't think people truly understand how instrumental the consultant industrial complex has been in the Democratic Party's decline.
It's
the
bad.
same people who have fed Democrats bad advice election after election after election never lose their jobs. They're always rehired. In fact, they're often promoted to feed
my
different
God.
Democratic campaigns the same losing advice that just cost other Democrats an election. I mean, some of the same
Literally.
people who advised Hillary Clinton in 2016 went on to advise Kamala in 2024. And immediately after Kamala lost, they were already telling Democrats what needs to happen for them to win elections. And the advice that they were giving was, oh, they need to shift further to the right.
Yeah.
Now, the
despite
reason
being
why we know
losers. Yeah, like
that Cat-
literal people who ended up like losing their seats, even though they were like favorites of the party, favorites of the status quo, favorites of the corporations, favorites of the lobbyists. Like there's this one older woman, I forget exactly who it is, but like constantly brought on these networks as a consultant, despite losing her seat to a Republican. It's just like. Yeah, like that's their only mode of thinking is like just shift further to the right, just appeal more and more to the conservatives. It's just like, no, you dumb motherfuckers, you have a whole untapped group, a few whole untapped groups of unlikely voters, non-voters, independents, fucking progressives, young people who are hungry for like bold fucking change, and it's like it's just a foreign language to these people.
But you got to understand too, and we'll talk more about it once Mike is done, is the youth vote is extremely difficult to get involved in the primaries. When young people think of voting, they think, oh, I vote every 4 years. And then the next level is, no, I vote every 2 years. And then the next level is, no, I vote twice in even years.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. That's a lot to ask for young voters to get them. But I think they're going to be more politically active than in previous generations.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, I guess, I think I'm hoping that a big reason why there's a lot more youth turnout is because of this tour that Bernie and AOC are doing.
Yeah.
And it's just shattering records. For when it comes to attendance of their rallies, and maybe there's something there because it's certainly making a whole lot of the establishment fucking nervous on both the Democrat and the Republican side. But we'll touch on that a little bit later.
Yep.
Kat would be effective at fighting these fascists is because, as she said, she's already been fighting them in court. So for those who don't know, Kat is an independent journalist who used to work for Media Matters until her and her colleagues were laid off so that way the organization could afford to defend themselves against a defamation lawsuit by Elon Musk after they published a report about Twitter advertisements appearing next to pro-Nazi content. So she's already been in the trenches, and to her, this is personal. But it's also personal in the sense that she's a stalwart progressive who's not being represented by the person who's supposed to represent her, the incumbent, Jan Schakowsky, who's an 80-year-old corporate Democrat who's been in office since the year Kat was born and done almost nothing for people like Kat. But I mean, if you go to Kat's website, you'll see that she has a fully fleshed out policy page where she vocalizes support for single-payer healthcare with comprehensive coverage, as well as LGBTQ plus rights. And unlike other Democrats, she's putting trans rights front and center, which is needed now more than ever. And she's also against genocides that our government has been funding and supporting, including Saudi Arabia's genocide in Yemen and Israel's genocide in Gaza. And if she were to be elected, she'd be one of just 2 Palestinian Americans in Congress, which is important. And she's clearly tapping into something special because she managed to raise $100,000 in just the first 7 hours of her campaign, which is astonishing for a small grassroots funded candidate of this size. And it was closer to $200,000 by the end of the day. So this is a test. Her campaign is a test for Democratic Party voters. Other progressive campaigns are a test for Democratic Party voters. If they are serious about stopping fascists, now is the time to prove it. When you vote in primaries next year, don't just automatically vote for the incumbent Democrat. Vote them out.
Yes.
Unless they're a visible and vocal fighter like Al Green or Bernie Sanders, do not vote for them again. Look up the other names that you don't recognize and see what policies they support. If they don't support Medicare for all, if they don't support getting money out of politics, if they don't support ending our support for genocide, they're not worth supporting. We need fighters in Congress. And the same people who've been there for decades very clearly aren't cutting it. Now, Hakeem Jeffries was asked about Kat's primary campaign against Schakowsky, and he expectedly signaled his intent to support the do-nothing incumbent over Kat.
Are you concerned at all about incumbents getting ousted this cycle, and what specific steps are you taking to prevent
I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
Congressman Schakowsky facing a challenge from Kat Abu-Ghazala.
Just in
She's a
general.
longstanding member, obviously a longstanding stalwart progressive member. I'm unfamiliar with this particular challenge, so I can't comment on it beyond having a conversation with Jan at some point. There's a lot of energy, a lot of angst, a lot of anxiety, of course, across the country. As it relates to the parade of
He just
horribles
does
that
not
Donald
want to
Trump
fucking talk about
has
this
been
at all.
unleashing on the American people.
Jan Schakowsky is
He's
not a
so
progressive,
uncomfortable
and that
there.
response right there demonstrates why he's part of the problem. Rather than placating us by patting us on the heads and telling us how valid our feelings are, why don't you actually do something, Hakeem? We're not going to believe that you have the energy to fight if you look like you're about to fall asleep when you talk about all of the energy and angst that the base feels. And Kat responded to that saying, "Nice to meet you, Hakeem. It's time to get familiar," which I love because that's the energy that we need. We need more Democrats who are going to be confrontational with the Democratic Party's leadership. And I get that a lot of focus recently has been on Chuck Schumer, rightfully so, since he caved to Donald Trump and gave away all of the party's leverage. But let's not forget that before Chuck Schumer caved, Hakeem Jeffries and 2 other Democratic Party leaders in the House scolded Democrats for being too rowdy during Trump's address to Congress.
A number of us were pulled into an office.
Right.
And
Not saying whose office it was.
no, but if you Google, you'll find the article.
Yeah.
And saying like that we were, and I'm like, I need the freedom.
What was the
to-
message? You were too much off the leash? Is that what the message was?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
With the State of the Union.
Right.
Oh my
But
God,
nobody
dude.
remembers anything from the State of the Union but Al Green. So I'm like,
Right.
And speaking of Al Green, the 10 Democrats who
Bingo.
voted with fascists to censor him, they weren't pulled into Jeffrey's office to be scolded. The ones who were disrespectful to Trump during his joint address, those were the ones who got talked down to. So, I mean, that kind of tells you everything that you need to know about the Democratic Party leadership and why we need more Democrats who plan on confronting them both privately and publicly. Because what they're doing, that type of leadership just isn't going to cut it. Capitulating to fascists is not what's going to save us from fascism. But I don't want to give you the impression that it's just leadership that's the problem, because the problem is so much more systemic than that. Almost all Democrats are too corrupt or too out of touch to be in power. They just can't meet the moment. I mean, ask yourself, when was the last time you were actually enthusiastic about a Democrat that you voted for in a general election? It never happens. The last time I can remember is like maybe 2008, the first time I was old enough to vote when Obama ran the first time. Every other time, I look at the options and it's corporate, uninspiring Democrat or a fascist psycho Republican. I guess I'll vote for the lesser of two evils because I don't want the fascists to win. I mean, we're never excited about this party. Democrats win because they're not Republicans. That's it. The reason why anyone votes for this party isn't because they're inspired by their message. Nobody knows what their message is. They just vote for Democrats to stop fascists from winning. It's the lesser of two evils again and again and again. Yep. That's it. But for the first time in my lifetime, perhaps, they're finally starting to understand how despised they are by people. Axios reports Democratic town halls across the country have been erupting into fury over Senate Democrats' decision to let a Republican spending bill pass rather than use it as leverage to constrain Doge. A senior House Democrat told Axios that a colleague called them after a town hall crying and said they hate us. They hate us. Quote, among the things I got at a town hall were, will you call for Chuck Schumer to resign, the lawmaker said. Last week, I got, you need to tell your leadership they had no right rebuking Democrats for being strong at Trump's speech to a joint session of Congress. Yes. Another thing I got was Democrats are too nice. Nice and civility doesn't work. Are you prepared for violence? To Representative Jimmy Gomez, who has faced the same left-wing primary challenger for 3 election cycles in a row, he says this crack-up has been a long time coming. Quote, the base has been pissed off for a while. Yes, we are, Jimmy. And I've got to say, the fact that they're crying, that fuels me.
Yeah, me
Their
too.
tears are the energy that I use
I'm
to
so
level
happy
up.
to hear
because
that,
Democrats have spent decades ignoring constituents, supporting genocide, chumming it up with corporate lobbyists and Wall Street executives and billionaires, voting with fascists, moving to the right election after election, yet they have the nerve to assume that people actually vote for them because they're loved? Excuse me?
Right.
Listen, allow me to let you down, Democrats,
thing, right?
as easy as...
This is the position that they're in right now. They're not leading us, and they're certainly not following us, so they need to get the fuck out of the way.
There you go. I was on the phone with someone today who said that exact same thing. Either lead, follow, or get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Easy as I possibly can as a lifelong Democrat myself. I fucking hate you with every fiber of my being, and I think that I speak for a lot of Democratic Party voters. If you could harness the hatred that I feel in my heart for Democrats and convert it into energy, you'd be able to power all of North America's power grid for like a century. And I hate them because they're complicit with the rise of fascism. Had they not let things get so bad, fascists would have never been able to win in the first place. People only vote for Democrats because they're less bad than the Republicans. That's it. And a lot of them know that, which is why they do the bare minimum. And they take advantage of the fact that we don't really have a lot of options with our two-party system. We're basically in an abusive relationship with them, and they know that we have nowhere else to go. Yep. And they use that to their advantage to be evil. But finally, the Democratic Party's base is demanding more because after decades of incremental reform, they're realizing that things have gotten so bad and people have become so desperate that they've become radicalized. That radicalization out of desperation is how Donald Trump won twice. Bingo. So the base now seemingly understands that you have to harness that radicalism and respond to it with your own radical vision for the country. It's why 86,000 people at 3 events in red districts showed up to Bernie Sanders and AOC's Fight the Oligarchy tour, because they know now is not the time for the same status quo politics Democrats have been feeding us for so long. And I want to play a clip from one of those events because what Bernie Sanders is trying to do is break down the Democratic Party and rebuild it in a new form, so that way it's powerful enough to take on fascists. And the way that he's trying to rebuild it is by getting regular people to take it over, to take back control from the millionaire incumbent Democrats who only care about their donors.
And then after she graduated college, she was a barista, working paycheck to paycheck. But what she did, as she looked around her and in her community in Bronx, New York, she saw that change had to come. And so what she did is decided to run for Congress, and people said, what, are you kidding? The guy who represents the district was one of the most powerful members of Congress. He had access to unlimited kinds of money. How much money did you have when we started? You started? None. All right. But she did what real politics is about. Real politics is not sitting at $1 million fundraisers. It's working with people in your community. And she worked hard, and her friends worked hard, and she pulled off a major upset. And since then, she has been a great member of Congress. But not only that, she has been an inspiration to millions of young people all across this country. Now, the reason I say all of that is not just to praise Alexandria, and I love her, but is to tell you and the people of America that what Alexandria did, you can do. There are millions of young people out there who love this country, who are disgusted with what they are seeing, who are prepared to get involved in the political process.
Now, AOC was part of the first wave of Justice Democrats that got elected, and her victory was one of the first signs of discontent with the Democratic Party status quo. I think that the first sign was the success of Bernie Sanders' long shot 2016 campaign. So this anger with the Democratic Party has been bubbling up for years now, and the party has done its best to contain that rage and keep a lid on it. But now it's starting to bubble up and spill over, and millions of their own voters are wondering why the party let things get so bad in the first place. What's the motivation? Why don't they want to do the bold things that progressive Democrats like Bernie and AOC want to do? And that brings us to this moment where insurgent challengers to incumbents are finally in a position to actually make a move. A lot of candidates that I interviewed years ago got almost no media coverage. But in just a single day, Kat got at least 8 articles written about her, which is another sign that the times might actually be changing for real this time. So even though taking over the Democratic Party has felt impossible at times because they've resisted said change so forcefully, things do feel different now. That doesn't mean that it's going to change, but I mean, the Democratic Party's base finally seems to understand that the antidote to fascism isn't milquetoast incrementalist neoliberalism. It is bold progressivism that is going to improve material conditions for working class people. Actual New Deal style politics where you fundamentally transform the country and you make the lives of working class people better. You empower them. You give them health care. You make it so that way they're not struggling and living paycheck to paycheck. You make it so that way they're thriving and not just surviving, as Kat put it. And the fact that candidates like Kat are launching with so much buzz, that might actually be another sign that the dam is about to break and wash away the old guard that's managed to suppress progressive momentum for nearly a decade now. But I promise you, leadership isn't just going to stand back and do nothing as a Tea Party-like movement emerges and threatens their hegemony and power. They're going to try to stop it and suppress it like they always do. That's inevitable. The question now is whether or not the base has become powerful enough to overthrow them. Overthrow the tyrants who are keeping the party in this shitty state where it's at record low approval. And it looks like we're going to find out soon. It's not a guarantee, but I think that if ever there was a time for change to happen, now is that time.
Yeah. Could agree more. Excellent. Yeah, I actually looked up her website, and in the process of doing so, she's getting covered by multiple different outlets for sure. And just to touch on that Bernie rally a little bit, this is a poll taken from WFP/JRF. And this is a day after he turned out over 34,000 people in Denver. It shows that he's still the most popular elected official in the U.S. Bernie Sanders is plus 10, and followed by and these are just other people that were included in the poll. Hakeem Jeffries had a -3, Donald Trump had a -7, Mike Johnson had a -9. J.D. Vance had a -11, Chuck Schumer had a -15, and Elon Musk had a -17.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that she's right. So Mike touched on a bunch of stuff we should talk about.
Of course.
This has been our kind of hope. We're clinging on to the idea that the Democratic Party can have a resurrection and return to FDR New Deal politics, redefining the relationship between the government and the citizen and making it so that people believe in government again. So she's got a cool little, campaign going on. It's nice to see her get some attention.
Of
I was
course.
talking with someone today who's very much connected in the California Democratic Party establishment, and there's some serious narcissism going on with
Oh,
the
yeah.
baby boomer establishment here in California, and they're going to be reluctant to an anti-establishment message, no matter how interesting the candidate may be.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like it's I guess it's the attitude of it's just resistance to change, and just
Yes,
a reluctance to
right,
because this is how it's always been done,
right,
so can't break outside the box for any reason because
right.
too comfy in your position, too comfy in your ideals, whatever the fuck they are. It's like not understanding that they are flimsier than you are willing to admit.
And I'm just going to say the BBPs, I think, the baby boomer politicians, and try to separate the baby boomer voters from the baby boomer politicians and say, hey, we're not railing on all baby boomers. We're just railing on your politicians because they've done a
Yes.
horrible job and they've been in charge for well over 3 decades now. And
Yeah.
they've had plenty of time to solve some of these very basic problems. Very basic
Bingo.
problems.
Yes.
It's not complicated. A lot of these problems are just not that complicated to solve if you have the political motivation to do it. And the Democratic Party has put a lot of cultural assumptions inside the culture of the left where they make people have the attitude of, oh, we can't do this, oh, we can't do that, what can
Yeah.
we do, instead of this is the problem, this is the solution. And universal health care is the easiest example. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, how has that not been solved? How has that not been solved? I've been promised that it was going to get solved 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine's reaction to when Obama did Obamacare, when he had more political power than any Democratic president had since the 60s, her attitude, I was like, Obamacare was just incrementalism. And she said, well, it was better than nothing. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's a loser attitude.
Yeah.
That's how a loser thinks. Oh, well, at least I got something. No, fuck you. I want to win.
Yeah, no, it's like the least the Democratic Party can do is offer up one sect of lobbyists up for sacrifice, And why not it be the fucking healthcare insurance and pharmaceutical industry who for decades have not wanted to see the United States move to a single payer universal healthcare system, something like Medicare for all or better. Well,
Right.
I mean, the party is so obsessed with pleasing their donors. It's like it's no different than highly profitable corporations uh, delivering for their shareholders rather than
Right.
their employees. It's a similar dynamic.
Yeah. Capitalism in politics. That's all it is. Is the same
Yeah.
fundamental premise that you got to take care of your source of money.
Of
And
course.
if you don't take care of your source of money, then what are you going to do next? You got nothing. You have no power if you have no money. And that's capitalism infiltrating the integrity of our political process, which is, by the way, nothing new. Like, if you look at the dominant economies of their day, whether it's ancient Egypt or ancient Rome or the British Empire, all of those things were brought down by the have and have nots, the
Yeah.
people who just had a way too large a concentration of wealth and power, not taking care of the rest of society. And then they revolt, and then there's an implosion of some kind. And
Right.
that's what I think. The person I was on the phone call with today, she's a veteran political consultant. And I asked her, do you think the system's broken? Do you think that we're in late stage capitalism? Do you think that we can salvage the system? And she's like, oh, I'm not there I'm not there at revolution yet. I said, are you kidding me? I mean,
Right.
what more proof do you need? I mean, in elections, we're just in the beginning. This is the first. It's March. We've had 2 months of Trump. That's it. We've had just 2 months of it. Imagine how bad this is going to be in a year from now.
Oh my God.
I mean, she's living in denial, and a big part of the narcissistic personality is living in denial.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's not even really much of an opinion. It's fact. Like everything,
Yes.
or it's late stage
It's truth.
capitalism.
It's truth.
It's devolving before our eyes, and we're seeing the degradation and the decaying of our democracy as we speak. For fuck's sake, goddamn Mike Johnson coming out saying maybe we should just dissolve the federal courts entirely. Only for the sole purpose being the sole reason being certain district court judges are not ruling in favor of Trump and his agenda and people surrounding Trump. It's just like that's what appeals are for. For fuck's sake, like these people cannot take losing like they can't handle it. They can't handle being losers. They can't
Right.
handle the fact that like they're not always going to get their way on shit. But that's how
Right.
authoritarians operate. It's like I'm going to get my way no matter fucking what. It's disgusting.
That's well put, Tracy. Yep, just like a wounded animal.
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree. Yeah. It's a good way
Yeah,
to
no,
put
I
it.
think there's going to be an appeal for generational change within the ranks of DNC leadership. It's just a matter of who shows up on primary day, right? Like
Bingo.
I still haven't heard anyone watching that stuff with AOC and Bernie is great, but the lesson has got to be you vote twice in even years because that's how the
Yeah.
establishment wins. That's how the status quo wins is the old baby boomers are the only people that show up,
Bingo.
you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like primary voter participation is like 25% or something of the voting public. Like it's a very small percentage.
Yeah, and Megan says the U.S. government has been formatted for incrementalism, and yeah, it's just by design. But like we've seen, like where incrementalism has gotten us, it's just the pendulum is swinging back the other way. We're capitulating more and more and more to the right because the right is more friendlier to capitalism, which is destroying our society piece by piece, piece by piece. Not to mention, it goes to show that this tour that Bernie and AOC are doing right now is making a big splash. Not just because like the attendance size and the reactions by the media, which we should probably check out a couple videos just to react to not only what liberals, centrists are saying, but like people like Fox are saying as well. But also the fact that like coverage of it is blowing the fuck up as well. Like Rational National, David Dole, he put out a
Yeah.
video covering the Bernie rallies and the record breaking attendance and shit. 700,000 views on that sucker. Like people are
Yeah.
fucking into this shit. They're interested. They want change. Like they see Bernie as one like a
Yeah, you want to watch
grandfather.
the
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, God, you go.
Oh, just like a grandfather of the progressive movement, especially nowadays. And it's like there's the Bernie sat down for a little interview and he got a little fucking pissed off because he
Yeah,
thought
I saw that.
the interviewer was just jerking him around. And he's like, dude, I'm 83. I'm not gonna run again. But like, you know,
Well, he also wanted to,
frustrated.
he was also trying to get at the Beltway stuff with AOC, maybe primarying Chuck Schumer. But let's
Yeah.
take a look at my favorite neoliberal centrists, Morning Joe and
Oh
Morning Mika,
shit!
talking about talking
But
about
let's get
the
back to
business.
that rally
do
in
it.
Denver where independent Senator Bernie Sanders and Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez drew a reported crowd of over 34,000 people.
Look
The
at
Colorado stop is the latest in the duo's Fighting Oligarchy tour as they attempt to inspire Democrats ahead of next year's midterms.
Because what many people want to smear as radical, I believe, is common sense. I believe in the wealthiest nation in the history history of the world, when a person gets sick, they shouldn't go bankrupt.
Let us go forward
What a
together.
concept.
Thank you.
Okay, Claire McCaskill, I think it's fair to say these two
This bitch.
whippersnappers.
This is the bitch I was fucking thinking
Bernie
about.
Sanders-
She is on all of these fucking
Yeah, I know.
programs
I
all
know.
the
She's all
fucking
over it.
time,
All
and
over
she
it.
lost. Why are they
Yeah.
getting her opinion on shit? Get her the fuck out of here. What the God?
Hold on. Let's see
Jesus
what.
Christ.
Okay, let me catch up. Hold on, we'll bring that back in a second. Let me catch up on these really quick.
Okay.
So 72 Marshflower. Yes, you're absolutely right. Conservatives are more friendly to capitalism because capitalism is a conservative construct to begin with. Its accretive nature is why money betrays all to its greater density. That's well put. Tracy Eva, have you noticed how many baby boomers are turning out at Bernie rallies, angry about losing their Social Security, Medicaid, self-centered to the end,
Good.
but useful?
Yeah. Yeah, they should be angry.
Bernie uses AIPAC vernacular, outing him as controlled opposition. AOC looks the same. What do you mean Bernie uses AIPAC
Yeah, he's Jewish.
vernacular?
And what exactly does that mean? Like, there's definitely
Are you saying AIPAC still is influential for Bernie and AOC? Because they're not AIPAC, the recipients.
Yeah, they're not, not at all. Like, and there's a conspiracy theory going around and some obscure lefty circles that, like, oh well, Bernie, like, despite all this tour that he's doing, he voted to send more bombs to Israel or
The
something
Iron
like that.
Dome. Was it the Iron Dome vote?
I have no idea.
Because I know some people had an issue with AOC's Iron Dome vote.
Well, they were talking about Bernie specifically, and like when this particular account, like when pressed about it, like they just refuse to show evidence, probably because they have nothing for it. This is one of those fucking tankies that are like so reactionary in their politics that they see Bernie as nothing more than another fucking neoliberal just going along with the Democratic establishment, and just one of these people that are like anti-West to a fault, to where they like just work backwards from that conclusion. Therefore, anyone propping up the system or making a name for themselves in electoralism in general is just an enemy and not to be trusted. And so, like, they need to be cast down at like every turn. It's just these people are stupid.
Define tankies.
Tankies are, I don't want to call them left because they're not left wing, but they're not conservative. They are people who are so anti-West, anti-Europe, anti-United States because of the history of these nations and their long-held assaults on uh, democracy in general, but particularly socialist countries and countries a bit more friendlier to communism. Tankies believe in fucking like Stalinist Russia or Maoist China or even fucking Kim Jong Un in North Korea. They defend.
Wow.
Yeah, they defend the most authoritarian figures who cloak themselves in being
communists.
Yeah, revolutionary and anti-West because fucking like capitalism bad, and they just work backwards from those conclusions. And they're tankies are authoritarian. They're USSR communists, and
this was 72 Marshflower 15 responding back. Specifically, Bernie's stance on Palestine reads like an AIPAC slogan, Hamas that, Hamas this. When Israel set the condition, saw the attack coming, and allowed it to happen to justify genocide and land grab. I don't know if that's fair, Marshflower.
Not
I don't
entirely. Like, well, because Bernie is a public figure, and the knives are all out for anyone who even dares criticize Israel. He has to come out and condemn Hamas, which is easy to do because Hamas isn't necessarily a good
Yeah, it is a
organization.
terrorist organ.
Yeah,
It is a
let's
terrorist
not
organization.
let's not pretend that they're good guys. But he also understands like there's clearly a difference between Hamas and the Palestinian people and the plight of the civilians in Gaza right now. And he does make an active effort to distinct the two whenever he is making media appearances and whatnot. But I don't think that means that he is aligned with the rhetoric coming from APAC, because some of the people that they fund and some of the rhetoric that they speak is just so fucking dishonest. Bernie is actually like one of the most honest people that are in Washington when it comes to the issue of Gaza and what the Palestinians are going through. Megan says, "You think Bernie agrees Israel let the attack happen? You don't think Mossad propagandized what they share in Congress?" No, I think he was saying Bernie probably doesn't know that, or he probably doesn't know that like the Israel was aware of an impending attack and didn't take the precautions needed to actually stop it. Or maybe he does, and he doesn't make a point to reveal that too much when he makes his media appearances.
Marshflower likes your delineation a second ago.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let me hear what I got to hear what Claire McCaskill has to say about these
Oh,
Bernie rallies
God.
really quick.
Sanders has been at this for quite a while,
I'm not
but
ready to
they're
throw
onto
up.
something. What's the potential that this obvious energy that we're seeing has for Democrats?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, I think the key thing that Bernie said at the end of his remarks is staying united. I have been a little weirded out at how much noise has been created over Schumer making a decision that the Democrats shutting down the government was not a good idea. And this kind of infighting about who the leadership should be and so forth is not helpful. I think
Really?
they're right that there are some common sense things here that if the Democrats stay focused in terms of their message, the common sense stuff, that taking a meat axe to programs that Americans rely on, accusing everyone of being a fraudster that gets Social Security, cutting many programs for veterans. These are the kinds of things that
Talk
we
about
will
Bernie.
not only
Talk about
grab
Bernie.
all those people that are showing up at these rallies, but we'll grab that middle also.
Middle.
And it's about staying united and disciplined about a message. And obviously, there's a lot of energy on the ground right now. It is very reminiscent, in my opinion, of what we saw going on around the country when Barack Obama got elected, but on the opposite end of the spectrum.
It's literally
and
bigger
so-
numbers. Like the rally in Denver in particular shattered the record that Barack Obama made back in 2008. But the thing is like Claire McCaskill, who in the middle is going to show up for fucking anything. What excites the middle? What drives
enough of the middle? Enough of the middle. Enough
Yeah,
of the middle. The middle is either coming with
God
us or they're going to
damn
get
it.
left behind. Is the new attitude.
Let's hope
Me,
we get
yeah,
the
this
same
woman is
result
an idiot,
in
Megan,
the
Like
you're
don't
right.
the ideas matter? Don't the policies matter? Don't
Yeah.
the solutions matter? Doesn't the definition of the party matter? Doesn't the
Crying out
doesn't the
loud.
past matter? Doesn't the past matter? Doesn't the legacy of this party since 1992 matter? Are we not going to learn what the values of this party have become since Bill Clinton redefined it in 1992?
in the
Yeah.
midterms where we would, if history is any predictor, we would win dozens and dozens of House seats.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was hoping she would get some more commentary there. But yeah, I mean, so she goes into how, oh, it's great to see all this energy, but she doesn't explain why.
Yeah.
And this is what bums me out about TV commentary in mainstream media, or I like to call it market-driven media, is that they give you superficial answers when the answer is staring you right in the face. Like, people are regretful that they didn't give Bernie more of a chance 4 and 8 years ago. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
I've heard from so many people, Bernie should have won the nomination in 2016. It should have been Bernie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many times I've heard that from so many people. And it's like, how many cliche politicians are going to invoke elections are about the future? It's like, well, you can't get to the future without resolving the past. You have to figure out why we got here first.
Yeah. Megan totally agrees. 2016 should have been Bernie Trump. Yes. Also says TV seconds are costly. And yeah. She didn't have much time to really like, you can kind of tell they didn't really have her on for very long, so there's only so much that she could say. But there are other people that I've seen on MSNBC that were quick to dismiss this whole tour that Bernie and AOC are doing. I believe MSNBC brought on a former head of the RNC to basically, you know, just dismiss the
Steele?
whole. I think
Was it
so.
Steele?
I think it
Yeah.
was. I think yeah. There might be a video on YouTube of him reacting to the actual
Was it Roger
rallies.
Steele? What's his name? Roger Steele or something?
Let's see here. RNC chair.
RNC chair.
But he was
Michael
on
Steele.
Michael Steele. Yeah, that must have been him. Let's see.
He was talking about Bernie.
Yeah, I believe he was the one. No, actually no. It was a former an RNC chair who actually went on MSNBC. Former RNC.
Yeah, well, Michael
chair.
Steele's on MSNBC all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. MSNBC.
The wanker,
Yeah.
Michael Steele.
Yeah, watch
Wanker.
for. No, that's not it.
Don't worry about it.
Either way, yeah. So he basically scolded Bernie and AOC, talked down to them. The whole gist of like his, I guess, criticisms was, Americans, like your average American, is not thinking about oligarchy. I mean, do they even really know what that means? Like I'm paraphrasing, but that was the just like people aren't thinking about like what the term oligarchy like is. Like your average American isn't worried about that. It's just like he thinks people are stupid, and he's
Yes.
acting like people don't actually understand like what's going on or what an oligarchy is and how that perfectly describes Trump's cabinet and everything that's been going on since Trump got elected, and the people who prop Trump up with tons and tons of money. And it's like it's insulting to the intelligence of the voters, for one, especially when you have the fact that these town halls that have been going on, like what Mike covered in that video, how pissed off they are that Chuck Schumer just caved to the Republicans, and how they're going after Social Security and Medicaid and nothing's being done about it. It's like people are fucking paying attention. For crying out loud. Yeah, Megan talking about the 2016 election, literally admitted in the lawsuit they chose Hillary against the voters' wishes because the DNC is a private corporation.
Yep. It's a private institution.
Yeah.
What did she say? Yo, Dieter wished the
Did-
upper middle class knowledge. What?
Yo, Dieter, with the upper middle class knowledge, let's fucking go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Trump's cabinet is no more an oligarchy than any previous administration. I mean, I guess it's just more. It's more brazen
No,
and out in the
it's
open
more
now.
explicit. It's more explicit.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
His first cabinet was extremely oligarchic too. Like they had all the bankers that came out of Wall Street and stuff. I mean, they had a lot of big money appointments at the cabinet positions.
Right.
And they don't, it's we are in the middle of the country getting raped. I mean, it's the raping of America that's taking place right now, and we're all being forced to watch. And the Democrats are like, hey, whatever. Like, what can we do? What can we do about it?
Yeah.
So this is just it's like we watched the Figueredo video because yeah, like it's time for a next generation. Like we have to get these retired Cold War veterans out of the way because
Yeah.
they don't understand this world. It's that simple. Baby boomers do not understand this world. They did not grow up in this world. They do not understand it. Tracy
Yeah,
Ava says Michael Steele probably has plans to turn the Democratic Party into the new Republican Party, like
that's
the
it.
Lincoln Project. They want to kick out the left from the Democratic Party.
That's exactly it. Like because he's fucking anti-Trump enough, so that's like the bar now. As long as like if you're a Republican or you're conservative and you're anti-Trump, then I guess the Democratic Party is your new fucking home. They're trying to make it a thing, and like
That's what they're trying to make it a thing, of course.
yeah, it's fucking disgusting. It's like go the fuck away, fix your own goddamn party, fucking grow a goddamn spine. Like you had your fucking chance
Just
in
always redirect to
2024.
issues. Just whenever you get caught
Yeah.
up in that shit, just always redirect to issues. If you go to policies, they really can't fuck with you anymore on universal health care. Everyone is sick and tired of paying their own fucking health insurance, and
Yeah.
every other developed Western nation has it. And there's no excuse for the United States not to have something better than what we have. It's
Yeah.
pathetic. And everybody can relate to it. It polls at 70% when you can't get 70% of the country to agree on anything, except for maybe the OJ case. But, you know, I mean, like, we have to understand better that people are feeling the pain and how to
Yeah.
relieve that pain.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's like they don't care enough to actually like remedy obvious problems with obvious solutions. You know, fucking.
Hold on. Dems are controlled opposition of the GOP. It's why they always, quote, lose. They're basically a springboard for the GOP, and as such, they also serve to thwart third-party scenarios. Yeah, I think systematically you're right. I think that's
Yeah.
the forces at work, but don't give them too much credit. They are incompetent.
Yeah.
Like they are losers. They
Yeah.
suck at competing. Believe me, there
Yeah.
are a lot of people in the Democratic Party that wanted to win that election.
Of
Maybe the
course.
consultants didn't care as much about winning, but there are a lot of
Yeah.
people that wanted to win that presidential last year, and they're still stuck in the party, and they have to put up with people like me having conversations with them and telling them things like the baby boomers have got to go.
Yeah.
And
Not to
I don't think even the baby boomer voters want to hear that.
yeah.
Like this is like enough. The baby boomer politicians have got to go. Joe
Yeah.
Biden, I'm the most conservative Democrat in the field. Joe Biden, I'll never forget that video. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and,
He was
and not to
proud of it.
mention, it's like it's like what we mentioned before in the earlier on in the stream. It's like don't attribute to malice what can be explained away as incompetence, and like incompetence
Right.
makes the Democratic Party go around, especially amongst the leadership. Megan says every cabinet in the century has been obviously corrupt in their industries, to the extent, yeah. But Trump takes it to an entirely new level, and that's just like based on his first term alone. Like it's not even the competition, but especially nowadays with people like Elon Musk, like in his administration. Fucking headline from the Democracy Now, because there's a big Supreme Court race going on right now in Wisconsin that's going to basically like determine the future of, I guess, the judicial leanings in this country in general, and not to mention Wisconsin is a swing state. The importance of it can be elaborated better by other people than me, but Musk's super PAC is apparently offering Wisconsin voters $100 ahead of crucial state Supreme Court race.
Right.
It's just like it's just fucking textbook bribery, and like
Yeah.
who's gonna stop him? Who's gonna hold him accountable for that? Like what mechanism is going to be put in place to actually prevent that from even fucking happening? Not to mention like what kind of punishments is he going to see for that? Fucking none. Fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect from the next couple of years. It's just we're gonna. I just feel like the forces are so strong.
They
But,
are,
you know,
yeah.
it definitely it makes me want to get involved. I mean, I don't have any public service experience, but I am thinking just to say, fuck it, I'm going to run to make a point and teach
Yeah.
these liberal losers how to fight. Like, what does fighting sound like? Fighting sounds like calling MAGA trash, MAGA trash.
Yeah.
Calling MAGA idiots, bullies, and cowards. Calling them stupid, stubborn, and sociopathic. It's not just about the GOP politicians. It is the core of conservative culture. The core of conservative culture being defined as heartless one percenters leading, manipulating, whatever, Confederate flag waving, Bible beating, gun nuts.
Yeah.
Those are your four groups. And there's really just three overlapping ones. The
Yeah.
Confederate flag waving, Bible beating, gun nuts. They are always a part of America. They will always be a part of America. It is the extent to which they have political power that hurts America.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like remarkable how stubborn a lot of these people are. Like at my primary job, I will service the homes of straight up MAGA trash, like
Yeah.
these old boomers that, oh, you know, they're friendly on the surface and whatnot, but they have such little patience, they have such little respect, they have such a narcissistic sense of entitlement that's just like boiling beneath the surface, that it just can't help but reveal itself
Right.
upon interacting with them, and they're shameless about it. Like
Yeah.
they're just like they're unapologetic in their fucking ignorance, you know, and that's part and parcel with the culture, and it's like,
It's almost like they're proud of their ignorance.
no, yeah, like Trump gave them permission to be their worst selves, you know, and it's like that's the thing. Even before Trump, you know, these people were always fucking trash people, but then they saw
Right.
like someone of equal fucking trash, of an equally trashy fucking persona, rise to the fucking
Give
highest
them,
seat in the
yeah. He was their
land.
voice. He was their
Yep,
voice.
yep, without a fucking doubt.
So we
Uh,
love Tim Walz. He was a tremendous governor, and it's good to see him call out Trump's white supremacy and racists and Nazis and all those people.
yeah,
But I still don't believe he's going to hurt them. I don't believe that he's going to get up in their face and tell them to shut up, sit down, and let the smart people go to work. I mean, that's what America wants right now, is
mhm.
someone to say, shut the hell up. We're going to listen to the smart people.
Yeah, I think his approach right now, yeah, you're right. The entitlement is astonishing. You don't even know. Um, I think Tim Walz's strategy is mockery, which does fare well against fascists in general. Just open mockery and you know, making fun of fascists in general can go a long way, because a lot of them really can't handle ridicule, and they've utilized ridicule themselves for so long that they like they are not used to being at the receiving end of it.
Right.
So if that kind of if that strategy against these fascists continues, they at some point they're going to be forced to respond, and it's like, how would they respond, or is it even worth responding to? Because like if you're just facing like just endless mockery and ridicule, day in and day out, i- is there truth to the mockery or ridicule that you're receiving if you respond to it, or if you give it any attention at all? It's a fine line to walk through. That's why I think what Tim Walz is doing um, so far, it could prove to be useful, even if he's not like the more
Yeah.
aggressive and
Right.
assertive type, like
No, we need it.
confrontational type.
Right. We need different kinds of voices,
Of
and
course,
Tim
of
is a
course.
start. Tim's a start. It's like Chris Murphy. He's a start. but no,
Yes.
is he the
Yes.
end game? And yes, Tracy, I like the fact that he's an educator too.
Yes.
But and
I like that too.
I definitely like him more than Gavin Newsom to be the next president.
Oh yeah.
But I do think Tim is stronger in character than he lets in from his background. Maybe. I mean, look,
I have a
he's a
feeling.
nice he's a
Yeah.
nice guy. I mean, I want someone who's going to get in the bully's face and take the hit from the bully and then give one back 10 times as hard.
Yeah.
Like I want someone to say, don't come to our blue cities wearing a MAGA hat. You are going to get treated as if it's a swastika. That's
Yes.
what I want. That's what
Yeah.
I want. More than
Of course.
anything else right now, rhetorically. Someone needs to say, you see someone wearing a MAGA hat in a blue city, you either stare them down, ignore them, intimidate them, or exclude them in
Yeah.
any of those ways. Just do not respect them. Stop respecting them. They
If
are
it-
children with votes and guns. They are not developed human beings. Like people say about, talk all the time politics. Who's looking down on who? I'm looking down on the MAGA trash. That's who I'm looking down on. Those
Yeah.
Confederate flag waving, Bible beating, gun nut bullies, idiots, and cowards. Enough. They're trash. Let them go. We're not going to get everybody to get along. We got to isolate them. Go ahead.
Fortunately, we do live in a state where that kind of attitude is profound enough to where it's like, yeah, if you're walking around with a MAGA hat, it's just a mark of shame, and you will be socially chastised for it.
Yeah.
It's actually happened. I haven't experienced it, but I've been to places where, like, 'cause I follow different um uh places on Instagram that have accounts and whatnot, be it venues, bars, whatever. And there've been instances where people are really are asked to leave because just entering the in this example a bar with a MAGA hat is very much frowned upon. It makes it makes the people there uncomfortable because it's supposed to be a space where you feel safe at, and it's like there's um, anybody who's been paying attention to the MAGA right for the past 10 years understands that, like, these aren't exactly the safest people. I mean,
No,
sure,
they're dangerous.
yeah, I mean, sure, if you're like in more like rural areas, small towns, it's like it's a bit more community oriented, so it's like not as big of a deal. But if you're in a bigger city and you come across something like that, whole different story, without a doubt.
Marsh Flowers says MAGA morons can never tell me which America they're referring to. Mexico is America too. Kind of funny. And then deranged Trump supporters are making America garbage again because conservatism is always spot on backwards. It really is. Resistance to change in a world that is defined by change is counterproductive to building an American society that's better than the one that came before us. Those bastard baby boomers, dude, they just took as much as they could for themselves, left us holding a bag of shit. Oh, what's the cat's name?
Spinell. It's my
Spinell.
daughter.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
Spinell.
cute.
She's my little baby.
Cute.
Yeah, conservatism definitely has outlived its usefulness for sure. It's like we've talked about in the streams before. There's no place for it there's very little place for it in the United States right now.
And that's what I feel
general.
like that's what I feel like a lot of liberals are gun shy about saying. There's nothing good about conservatism. Just say it. Just commit to that.
Of course.
Commit to the exclusion. This is one of the essays that I'm working on where it's like you want to get people who don't get along to get along. You got to give them a problem they can't solve without working together. Well, this is the problem that we need to work together on.
Yeah.
It's excluding the GOP from politics in America to the greatest extent possible because nothing good comes from them when they're involved. They are idiots, bullies, and cowards, and the ones that aren't are heartless, rich assholes.
Right. Yeah, without a doubt. Megan, speaking of Tim Waltz, has an interesting take. I wish he didn't accept Kamala VP run. He could have been great. So here's the thing about him becoming Kamala's VP. I thought that, like, we were really all pulling for Tim Walz to be the pick because his credentials and his policies and whatnot. The issue wasn't so much that she picked him to be his VP; it's the fact that her and her campaign didn't utilize him to the extent that they should have. He was by far the biggest progressive wrecking ball who made the biggest splashes in media and amongst the voters as well. But like they hid him away most of the time. And the thing is, I don't think that because he um tied himself to the Kamala Harris campaign because they picked him to be uh Kamala's running mate to be VP. I don't think that's going to hinder him in the future at all. For one,
No.
because he was according to the polls, he was the most popular person on the ticket, between all four of them. So I think he definitely has a shot. He's not the best, but he's certainly fucking far from the worst. If he did make um a run for president in 2028, and I don't think him tying himself the fact that he had ties to the Kamala Harris campaign is going to prove to be a negative for him as much because I mean, for one, even when he was picked and during the Kamala Harris campaign, they didn't really have much on Tim Walz to begin with. What tampon
Right.
Tim? That's it. Like, give me a break. Transform the tickets
so
for
she
2
was
weeks. Yeah,
2
that
weeks.
was
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
that because what happened
Brutal.
was, I liked him too, Tracy. We all liked him. That's what got us to vote for him. Vote for Kamala was the fact that she picked Tim Walz. That's basically why
reason,
Stat Pat and
yeah.
I voted for her. Because we didn't want to vote for genocide, but we felt like whatever. I mean, she made the nod with Tim Walz, but then what did she do right after the convention? I just redid the Kamala video because it's relevant to videos that I'm making in the future, but it's after the convention. It was after the convention, and at the convention, she talked about America having the most lethal fighting force, about resubmitting the immigration bill. She decided that she was going to play to the right and to the center and to anti-Trump Republicans, and it was a miserable strategy. She didn't stand
Yeah.
for anything. She came across as someone who didn't stand for anything, and that's
Right.
what I think ultimately Kamala's political problem has always been, is that she's and a big problem with Gavin Newsom and a lot of these other popular political figures. They think that likability and electability are the same thing,
Yeah.
and they're not. They're not. People don't necessarily like Bernie Sanders, but they sure as hell respect him.
hmm
And the woman that I was on the phone with today, who had I would say, a liberal disposition. She's still in denial about the system not being broken. She's like, I'm not there yet with revolution. I'm like, you got to wake up, sister.
Yeah.
Like, I know I know you did this fighting this kind of thing a long time ago, but you didn't win. You lost. So now it's not really about you fighting anymore. It's about you finding the next generation of fighters and people who actually do fight, people who actually do call MAGA trash. Like, enough. Like, this is
Right.
not just their politicians. This is a lot of different subcultures in America uniting and in one voice saying my life sucks because of people that are different from me.
Yeah.
That's what then getting taken to the cleaners financially by the government, and then being susceptible to more blame-ridden messages about why the country's got problems that they'll just listen to over and over again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Megan saying he, as in Tim Walz, was so progressive in the beginning, and they gagged him, ruined his
Yeah,
debate,
they hit him.
ruined his debate performance, ultimately hurting his future prospects. I mean, they definitely did him no favors for sure. She also says if he waited 4 years for AOC, maybe, well, what that'd be really interesting. I mean, because it really depends on if he gets past the primaries if he were to pick AOC for vice president, that would be gigantic. That'd be a winning ticket for sure. Um, but like, because like Gavin Newsom, eh,
He's done. He's
no,
done.
for real, yeah.
I mean, that's another reason. That's another reason why I kind of want to run for office, is to take advantage of this negative energy surrounding Gavin Newsom. People are shocked by him platforming MAGA propagandists.
no, yeah,
And it's time to be like, yeah, California, you thought you were getting the alpha male stud with Gavin Newsom, and you got just another liberal loser.
yeah.
Just because he looks like a winner doesn't make him a winner. He looks like a guy who thinks he wants to get everybody to get along instead of punch the bullies in the face.
Right. Yeah. Megan corrects me saying, "What? No AOC picking him, obviously." LMAO. Well, here's the thing. I don't think AOC is going to run for president in 2028, nor do I think she should. However, it is still like 3 years away till 2028, so a lot can change until then. She is 35 now, but I mean, I think Waltz picking her as VP would probably prove to be a more formidable ticket. I guess optic wise, because like because she's still only a congresswoman. I think she should take Chuck Schumer's seat when it comes down to it. And Megan touching on yeah, she has enough national recognition, good record, been aligning more with the overall party, and I think that's she's consciously doing that as well. Touching on Gavin Newsom, Charlie Kirk's fit on Newsom's Latinx support, or the use of the term. Like, are you talking about use of the term Latinx? Was pretty harmful to Newsom. Yeah, it's a dumb term. Not even Latinos and Latinas use
Latinos and
Latinx.
Latinas are fine. Like,
Yeah,
nobody cares. This
yeah.
Latinx thing, it's like overdoing it. I remember
No, yeah.
BIPOC.
Yeah.
Remember BIPOC was a thing for a while.
Yeah,
Like, what are we doing, guys?
to this day,
We
I don't
just-
even know what that means.
I don't even. Yeah, something indigenous people, something I don't know.
Of people of color or something.
Yeah.
No, yeah, no, fucking. I mean, why the hell is Charlie is Gavin Newsom having on Michael Savage? Why is he having on?
Because they're
fucking-
successful.
Sure.
Because they're
Yeah,
because they're successful.
It's like Michael Savage isn't even allowed in the UK anymore. I think for his extremism. So there's just all sorts of fucking crazy shit.
Have you been on a Zoom recently where they ask you for your pronouns, even though you have a beard?
I have
Have you
not
been on any Zooms?
No, like honestly,
Yeah, I've been on a few Zoom calls recently where they say, yeah, so do introductions and give your name, your pronouns, yada, yada, yada. I don't give my pronouns. I'm like, I refuse to. I will not give my pronouns. I have a fucking beard. Okay? I have a fucking beard. I'm not going to tell you what to call me. You know what to call me. Like,
right.
enough. No.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yes, very much so, Tracy. I think I'm going to
Yeah.
fucking make gold out of that. I'm going to turn that shit into gold.
Megan says thanks for acknowledging the cringe. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I think literally the only Zoom calls I have ever been on have been the Humanist Report members only calls where
Oh, really?
the community gathers and we all talk on camera and shit. I think that's the only time I've actually ever used Zoom, if I'm being honest.
Oh, well, you're missing out, man. It's a great way. It's how I'm planning on campaigning because I have no money, no staff.
No,
no
of
nothing.
course. Yeah. No, for real. I mean, it saves like touring expenses as well. Yeah, I don't blame you. I remember I come from the days of Skype.
Yeah.
I remember when that was like widely used,
Yeah.
and now it's just
Yeah.
like it's just completely gone now. Like Zoom
No idea
completely
why.
took over
Zoom
after
just took it over.
Yeah, because of the pandemic and like all the schools used it and shit. It's like yeah.
All right, man. I mean, I'm pretty good unless you want to talk about the border security stuff, but it's pretty much the same old shit, just different day, right? Like they're going after everybody. They're going after people with green cards now. They're, it's just getting bad. Like if you're a brown immigrant at all with any level of documentation,
Yeah,
MAGA
yeah.
trash. I'm looking at your
Right.
your
Skype
chats. Yeah,
Skype lost the COVID war. Fucking losers, MAGA trash.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's especially disturbing given the fact that like literal U.S. citizens have been detained by ICE. There was a video that David Dole put out that did fucking crazy numbers as well, like 600,000, about a Canadian woman that was detained by ICE for 24 hours, kept on a cold concrete floor, and was fed only once, and she didn't even trust the food, so she didn't even eat. And wasn't given wasn't none of her questions were answered at all. Like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And it was just a traumatic experience. It's like, how the fuck did this even happen?
right,
The video goes more in detail about her situation, but the fact that like not only that is happening, but um, headline from the Intercept saying Trump wants immigrants on U.S. soil to hand over social media accounts to apply for citizenship. Going over a bit further here, uh, Trump's administration wants to force people in the U.S. applying for green cards or citizenship to fork over their social media handles in a move with far reaching implications as the government cracks down on pro Palestine activists. This is definitely, like, without a doubt, like the central fucking reason that this is happening. U.S. citizens, because of the Columbia protests and shit, and like the Trump administration is directly targeting anybody and everybody who was involved in those Columbia demonstrations that were pro-Palestine, and um, yeah, ICE no due process is sketchy. Do not like. Yeah, yeah, there's literally no due process at all, and it's like that's the fucking law. It doesn't matter where you come from. No, like the fucking lawyers. It was either the lawyers or a Canadian politician that spoke about the conditions in these detention centers. They were treated worse than we treated the Nazis.
right.
Like,
That's what the judge said. Yeah,
yeah, that's it. That was the judge. That's right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely fucking crazy. It goes on. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which oversees naturalization and immigration, earlier this month proposed requesting social media names from people in the U.S. who apply for asylum, permanent residency, or naturalization, expanding a policy that used to only target people living abroad applying for visas. The proposal references Trump's day one executive order, laying the groundwork for a new Muslim travel ban, which also asked federal agencies to identify immigrants in the U.S. who hold hostile attitudes toward the government. This, yeah,
so they're scanning. So they're scanning social media and finding people, and then
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
"Get the hell out."
Yeah, like if you've made posts against the United States or against Donald Trump in particular, it's like tough fucking luck. Just like like fuck free speech, I guess. You know, this is. I mean, I thought this administration was all about that shit, but I guess not. This policy would disparately impact Muslim and Arab applicants seeking U.S. citizenship that have voiced support for Palestinian human rights. That's the fucking big kicker right there. It's like if you're pro-Palestine at all, said Robert McCaw, Director of Government Affairs at the Council on American Islamic Relations. Collecting the social media identifiers of any potential green card applicants or citizens is the means to silencing their lawful speech. And yeah, there's no other way to put it. Megan says, "I knew
Yeah,
that one. I knew that one was a winner." Talking about the MAGA trash Skype.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She also says employment background check includes social media. FYI, much harder to get a job before uh, Facebook kicked me off. That's right. Before he got banned from that. Did you hear about Malay releasing immigrant Hitler? Hitler records in Argentina after 1945? No. We'll have to go over that sometime. But yeah,
We're gonna find out, Tracy. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna have to do some cleaning if I decide to run for office. If I decide, yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
no,
have to
like
clean mine up. I delete. I every like few years I go back and just delete all my old Facebook stuff, just all the posts that I've made. So I haven't done that in a few years. But
a lot of my shit is like really sentimental, and a lot of it's just like because I mean I've had a Facebook since 2009, but I've only been like politically engaged since like 2015, 2016. So
right.
it's like do I even bother? Like I don't give a shit. But yeah, ICE sucks. Abolish ICE. They shouldn't exist. The Patriot Act should be repealed. And fuck anybody who is involved with ICE. You can put that on the record, and fuck anyone who supports ICE. You can
Yeah,
put that on the
amend that.
gravestone. Yeah,
Yeah, put that on my gravestone too, man. While you're at it. All right, dude. I think an hour and a half is pretty good for me, unless you got anything else you want to cover.
that's pretty much it.
All right.
We'll have
All right,
to.
guys.
We'll next Tuesday's April Fool's Day.
Yeah, next
So
Tuesday. Oh, yeah, we got to figure that out because I got a DSA meeting that I got to go to. But we'll figure it
right,
out. We'll
yeah,
be back a week from today, either at 5 p.m. Pacific or at 8 p.m. Pacific. One of those two times. We don't know yet. We'll put it on Blue Sky for you
yeah,
guys to make sure that you know about it.
yeah.
But until then, thank you, Tracy Ava, as our longstanding, most consistent fan, for all your support. So thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to Stat Pat Stateless Patriot if you are not already on his show. Please do the same for me if you watch him and you aren't subscribed to me. And be on the lookout because my birthday's coming up a week from yesterday, and then I'm going to use that to probably platform an announcement on April 9th that will change this show forever. Hopefully.
hmm
Hopefully, man. It's tough to catch
Hopefully,
eyeballs in this economy, this attention economy, but I'm going to
right.
keep trying. Yeah, Megan, we're trying to, don't worry, babe. We're just stay tuned on Blue Sky, and we'll make sure you
Yeah,
know about when we go live because we wouldn't want to go live without you knowing about it since
of
you're
course.
such a fantastic. I'm watching your screen and seeing
The
you like
yeah, loyal viewer for sure. Yeah, it just depends on a few things, but we'll know for sure closer to the date.
yes, I am definitely a hardcore Aries. Every girl that I've ever dated that finds out I'm an Aries is always like, "Oh, you're such an Aries." And I'm like,
Oh
"Yeah,
my
I
God.
guess I am. I guess I am the god of war." Yeah,
Uh,
I'm also named after a killer. David was a killer in the Bible. So,
right.
he was a harp player too, but he was a killer before he was a harp player.
Yeah. For me, I don't know what it is about Gemini women, man. It's just fucking. I don't know what it is. Anyway.
Billy All right. Well, that'll wrap us up for Stat Pat Stateless Patriot. I am Dieter McBusiness. We are reminding you that you don't get changed in America by asking nicely. Please stay tuned for next week's episode as well as daily content coming to you in April. Thanks very much. Have a great
Yeah,
night.
guys, have a good one. See you next time.